Hi there, Eve here from Vitamin Eve Nutrition Counseling, and today I want to talk about diet trauma. Yes, you heard me correctly, it is traumatizing to put yourself on a diet. So what I want you to do is to imagine an adorable stray dog out in the street. This dog hasn't had a meal for a while. Imagine what would happen when you finally put a plate of food in front of this dog. It would have a field day. It would eat the food, eat it really fast, gobble it all up, clean its plate, right? And you've probably made the connection by now. We are no different from that starving dog. When we are on a diet, when we take food away, it is normal, natural, and expectable to have that reaction when we're around food. Again, if you deprive yourself with food, even if you're the one who's doing the deprivation, there's likely to be that backlash, like that dog I just described. So reflect on all the different diets you've been on throughout your life. Maybe you've been on formal diets like the keto diet, Atkins, Whole30, intermittent fasting, Noom. Maybe you tried vegetarian or veganism. Maybe you did low protein, low fat, or anything like this. Or maybe you were on an informal diet. Just decided to stop eating after a certain hour or avoiding certain food groups. And in any of these cases, how did your diet go? I could predict it probably went really well when you first started. Maybe there was that sense of excitement that you're doing something about it, that energy that comes with, making that commitment. But eventually, where did you end up? Where did you end up a few weeks later, or a few months later, or a few years later? For some people, it's just a few hours later, quite frankly. That's how I was, right? Probably you were back to overeating, thinking about food, binging, having cravings, eating emotionally. Because what I want you to know, depriving yourself, is one of the biggest predictors of struggling with food later on. And so the more you diet, the more cumulative the effect is. In other words, the more you diet, the more that sense of deprivation is pronounced, the more you're likely to overcompensate by overeating, thinking about food, binging, and having cravings and all of that. So for some people, just thinking about a diet or telling themselves that they should go on a diet is enough for them to feel deprived and want to overcompensate. So for those of you who tell yourself, I'm not on a diet, but you tell yourself that you should be on a diet. Or if you tell yourself, I'm not a restrictor, but you tell yourself, but I shouldn't be doing that. You're doing some kind of secret deprivation or, upcoming deprivation or deprivation around the corner. All that to say is if you're doing that, you may be traumatizing yourself with the diet, with the threat that you're taking food away. Some symptoms, some ways that you could know that you are experiencing diet trauma is that you feel a sense of deprivation when it comes to food and eating. That finally, when you're in front of food, there's a sense of urgency that you have to eat it all now because you won't get it later. This may be related to feelings of shame and powerlessness when it comes to food and eating. You may feel like you're lacking willpower and seeing all of this as some fatal flaw that you have to endure. And what I want you to know, this is not a flaw. There's nothing wrong with you. You just may be experiencing diet trauma. And to further illustrate what I'm sharing here is I want to share this pyramid with you. This is called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a theory that's designed to illustrate the fundamental needs that we have as humans to become a self-actualized adult up here, to fully evolve. It's a theory from several years ago, but I want you to notice here at the very base of our needs, the very foundational needs that we have are air, food, water. Food is in the same category as air. We never think about taking air away from ourselves. That's kind of ridiculous. But how often do we do that with food? So here on the bottom, we have air, food, and water, shelter as well. Above that, we have safety, resources, employment. Above that, we have the need for love and belonging and community. Above that, we have the need for esteem, respect. And here at the very top, moves upwards, is the need to self-actualize, do the best in our lives. So again, we generally tend to move up this pyramid of our needs. And again, here at the very base, the foundation is air, food, and water. So when we take away food, when we go on diets, we're threatening the whole structure of this pyramid. So I hope I've done a good job illustrating how traumatizing it could be when you take food away from yourself. Again, it's at the very basic foundation of our physical needs. So the way to start healing this trauma is, first of all, supply yourself access to regular meal times. You could use the structure of breakfast, lunch, and dinner as a foundation of how to feed yourself, because your psychology needs to know that it's going to be fed regularly. Your psychology and your physiology needs to know that it's going to get meals regularly. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Because when you know that there's another meal coming up, you don't have to, get all of the food here and now. So having regular meal times is really, really important. You don't have to be rigid about it, but just knowing that you're gonna have meals throughout the day helps that psychology rest, helps your physiology rest when it comes to food and eating. The second thing to think about is giving yourself enough food during these meal times. Again, if you're a chronic dieter, you're probably really good at, having a giant bowl of celery. No, please don't do that. Please give yourself adequate nutrition so that you feel satisfied. The next thing to consider when you're feeding yourself is to provide foods that you enjoy. Doing that is really key in helping release that sense of deprivation and that sense of the answer is always no. You want to start learning how to say yes to yourself. You don't need to traumatize yourself and have your meals be these triggering things, but you do also want to consider when you're serving yourself food, what will be satisfying? What do I really want here? What will taste good? What will feel good in my body? What will give me enough energy to get through this next task at hand? If you happen to accidentally eat too much, if you happen to eat the wrong thing, or if you accidentally get too full or whatever, no punishing, no overcompensating. Think of that cute dog that I talked about earlier in this video. No spanking the dog, no taking food away. Okay, this has to be a promise you make yourself and you actually follow through. That if eating doesn't go the way you want it to for whatever reason, you are not allowed to skip meals. That is unnegotiable. Meal skipping is not allowed. So once you feel like you're feeding yourself regularly again and you're giving yourself adequate food and you're no longer punishing, you may want to go a layer deeper by asking yourself, where else in my life might I be feeling deprived? Where else in my life might my needs not be getting met? And right now we're going through this pandemic, so all of us to a certain degree are dealing with a certain degree of deprivation. Maybe you're not seeing your family as much as you used to, or maybe you're not getting as many hugs as you used to, or you're not going to work the way it used to be. And all of that, there may be a sense of lack in there. So it's very important to acknowledge that and ask yourself, well, how could I get that addressed? How could I get closer to getting that need addressed? Do I need to buy myself a teddy bear? I'm a big fan of teddy bears. For those of you who know me, I love teddy bears. Or, do I need to have a regular Zoom meeting with a friend? Or maybe I could go for a socially distant tea or coffee, to get those needs met. But it could even be needs beyond those that are affected by the pandemic. I just wanted to give some examples. And I want you to know, you don't have to do this healing your dieting trauma perfectly. Just the fact that you're watching this and that you're willing to consider this idea that when you take food away, that you're traumatizing a part of yourself, that's the one takeaway I want you to have from this video. So, and you may already be doing some of the things that I'm talking about here. So please share below how this video was helpful, what you're doing to heal your diet trauma or anything else that you feel is relevant. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. I really want to say I love that whenever I post a video, I get to see your comments. I love your engagement. So thank you for, being a part of this adventure with me. It means so much. And thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed already and you like this content, please subscribe. I'd love to have you to be part of this growing, beautiful community. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.